is Don Petit. I'm Executive Director of Peace Energy Renewable Energy Cooperative. 1974, I moved up to Dawson Creek trying to get away from big city stuff. I spent a lot of time in big cities and was going for rural, and maybe I could own property up here and kind of do my own thing. And as soon as I got to Dawson Creek, I really liked it for all those reasons. Way back in 74, this was a different world up here, and it was very primitive, but really cool, you know, and wonderful people, really, and not many rules. You could kind of do your own thing, you know, property super cheap. Beautiful properties available, so it was kind of a dream come true moving up here. Back in southern Ontario, high school camera club. And we had a little darkroom in the basement and a great physics teacher who took a little group of us, grade 11, grade 12 sort of students under his wing and taught us basic darkroom. We were shooting film with a great big 4x5 Graflex camera that's how I learned, was on a big 4x5 Graflex. That was before there was a 35mm film camera, really, right? I went on to university to study science. My family has a strong scientific and engineering background, so I was kind of expected to do that. But well into year 3, I decided, I think I like photography better than chemistry. So I made up a little black and white portfolio and beat the streets in Toronto, and got a job in photography with a guy who desperately needed help. And I worked with him for a couple of years, and that was big film, big large format, 5x7, 8x10 cameras in a huge studio with big lights, and learned a lot very quickly. He was a good teacher in his way. After a couple of years of that, I just went freelance in Toronto. I figured I knew enough, and I got into a wide variety of graphic things. We did photo screen printing, was high tech in those days, where you're printing with ink and paper on paper with squeegees and things. But for the first time in history, you could do it photographically. So you could take a photograph and put it on a t-shirt or something. That was revolutionary in the era, and I was very much involved in that, and got with a group of people. We had our own business. So I started right into being an entrepreneurial photographer of one form or another very early on in my mid-20s, I guess you'd say. So that's how I really got into it. And that group of people in Toronto that we started into photo screen printing with, I set up the first darkroom, got it all working for them. It had to study. I mean, this is all new. This is high tech in the era, right? Then as a group, we moved down to Southern California and set up a cloth printing business. We were doing t-shirts, we were doing, all kinds of clothing. And then we got into bulk printing of cloth too, and hired a bunch of people and had all the jigs and invented a bunch of stuff. Anyway, did that for 3 or 4 years down in Southern California. But you know, I started to miss Canada. I started to miss the seasons. So I started to look in the up north for a place to go. We got to Dawson Creek and we just got out of the car, and it was spring, there was still snow on the ground, but instantly loved it. Just the whole vibe of this place was just beautiful. And hard to describe, hard to pin down why that happened, but a few weeks later we were moving up here and buying our first little house in Dawson Creek. As soon as I got here, I realized this little town needed a photographer. There was one here, but everybody was tired of him, and he was really expensive and super fancy. And so I opened a photo studio here almost immediately, and that was called Image 3 Studios. After 5 years of portraiture and weddings here in my little studio, I branched out into video production at that point. I had a really good friend who was specializing in video. We formed a partnership and started into commercial video production, along with more commercial still photography as well at the time. Desktop computers were just coming in strong, and then you could start doing publishing in your office. Before that, it had to be done non-digitally. So I got really interested in publishing, started with newsletters and things. It got set up with a printer and desktop computer system, which is all kind of state of the art at the time. I remember when I was working in Toronto, I went into sort of a graphics house. I was applying for a part-time job there for a while to become a photographer. And what was in this beautiful little facility was a whole bunch of artists, a couple of photographers, somebody kind of running the building, and they're all kind of collaborating. And I just thought, wow, what a cool place, right? So I thought, oh, maybe that's what I'll do in Dawson Creek. And so I kind of did. Hired a graphic artist and another photographer and a sort of an office person. And we went right into it. And that is commercial industrial photography, graphic design. Then it went into marketing. And my wife was a very talented artist as well, illustrator artist. So she started doing work with us. And she's also a brilliant writer and editor, so we needed that. And that's when I got into publishing and decided to do my own photo book. That was the first book of photographs, and then the second one was the history one, and the third one was the wind power one. Book publishing all depends on promoting the book. It can't sit on a shelf. You've got to get out there and you got to hustle it. And I knew that. I figured that out pretty early on before ordering any books. So I had produced a companion video for the book and got a beautiful blues band from Fort St. John, Inroads Blues Band. They're still around. And then a sound man, because our slideshow that went with the video was 2 slide projectors. With a controller, so they would dissolve. That's what we toured with. We toured with a blues band, a video with a slideshow. So we started with a slideshow, right? And with original music that a friend of mine, composer friend, produced. And so it was like a I don't know. It was a show. We put on a show. We're now in the 5th press run of that book. It's still selling. The environmental theme was always the background, and I mean that's why I did the series of peace books. Really focus on the region, the bioregion, and thinking the importance of identifying with where you live. The importance of place and how it affects who you are and how you behave and whatever, your whole life, right? Just depending on where you're living to a large extent. Sort of making pride of place was sort of one of my big motivations for the book publishing, etc. And also the marketing and the photography, right? Loved it here because of beautiful landscapes and the quick availability to nature. So been a nature photographer ever since I arrived. That's what went into the books, etc. A lot of that. But I had been fighting against things. I'd been fighting. The environmental destruction I was seeing around here was shocking. The longer I stayed here, the more I could see the industry moving in and things happening, and it was very disturbing. But at some point I got tired of fighting against everything. That was about 20 years ago. All my energy was going into this negativity. And about 20 years ago, I just burned out on it, and I just said, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to do a 180, and I'm going to go, all my energy now from now on is going to be placed into positive solutions to the problems I perceive, and build the world, as they say, build the world you want to see. That's when I helped start Peace Energy Renewable Energy Cooperative. Paul Criada and I have been talking about this for a year or so, and then we got a group of people together and we made it happen. And what was happening up here at the time in this region was there was what we were calling a wind rush. You've heard of a gold rush? 20 years ago, there was a wind rush here. People were coming in from all over the world, snapping up all the best wind sites. Somehow the Peace region got on the wind map. And as it turns out, we have some of the best wind in the world right here, wind energy. I became a photographer, videographer to document the actual 2-year construction process. And I was blown away by what I saw. It was unbelievably sophisticated technology. That's that whole story. Now, Peace Energy Cooperative is still going strong, and now we're heavily into solar. We put up some of the largest solar arrays in the province, right here in Hudson's Hope. And now there's hundreds of renewable energy cooperatives across Canada, but we were the second one in Canada. People are putting it on their houses, and that's another big part of the story. People are ready for this. They really want solar, and we are just getting calls and walk-ins every day. If we could have more manpower, we could probably do 2 or 3 times as much solar as we can handle right now. It's really taking off, and right here in the Peace region, right? So that's really encouraging, and it's surprising how sort of ahead of governments individual people tend to be when it comes to energy. It's quite remarkable. I'm still in the photographic racket and really enjoying what I do for them, right? It's really great, cool stuff, and I love solar, and I wish there was more wind happening up here, because we have, as I say, some of the best wind in the world, and it's just blowing by us, and that's fine. I mean, whatever. The wind will still be there with the location here too. I've got to say, that the Peace region, I know Dawson Creek really well, but it's probably Fort St. John and other communities here too, are very welcoming to people who come in and they want to do something original, or they want to involve other people, or they want to start a special kind of business, or form a group, or whatever might be your interest or your inclination. Can be business oriented or not. It's a really good environment for that up here. There's a vibrant artistic community as well, right, which adds a kind of a surprising base of creativity to the whole scene up here, which is surprising, right, in a way. And then there's close proximity to the natural world. It's just fantastic. As I say, if you pursue your interests, pursue them passionately, it's impossible to fail. It's just impossible. Anybody who does that succeeds. So, don't do what your parents think you should do, or thought you should do, or whatever, or what the world is telling you maybe you should do for your mortgage. No. Pursue your dreams, and pursue them passionately, and you will be extremely successful in whatever way you want to define success.